This is a funnel. Marketing is not, at least the type of marketing that we're talking about. Old way of doing marketing is this funnel approach. People come in through the top and then boom, you catch them down here when they become a customer. That's the old way. I'm not saying it doesn't work. It has in the past. But the new way of marketing is an ecosystem. What we mean by that is all of your marketing functions together to achieve a goal. If we look at it from a business perspective, we would have business strategy at the top. We would have brand strategy below that. Then we would have content strategy. Then we would have podcast strategy, email strategy, LinkedIn strategy, right? All of these strategies falling under this bigger umbrella of the goals for the business. And traditional marketing takes not into account the business goals, but only into account the sales metrics and the conversion metrics that we want, right? The flaw with that is that we don't know where people actually come from. And the reason we know that we don't know is because somebody can stumble upon a LinkedIn post, then they can stumble upon or search for a YouTube video, then they can listen to your podcast, then they can comment on your post, then they can sign up for your newsletter, then they can book a call. So which one of those things, not even taking consideration ads, which one of those things was the reason why they booked the call? Obviously, all of it is the reason, right? And the real reason why they booked the call is because they feel, or they hope, that you are the answer to their problems. And the traditional marketing framework of the funnel, it assumes that we are creating this to sell products and services. It also relies directly on the sales metrics, right? What a marketing ecosystem does is it brings people not through a funnel, but through a lazy river, so to say. This is called slow marketing, right? And in business in 2025 or 2026 or 2027, I get it. Nobody wants to move slower. But the reality is, if you try now, 10 years later, to force people through a funnel, back in the day, it was click funnels, right? They're not going to do it. The modern buyer is smart. They're smarter than you, right? They can sense and feel if they're in the midst of a funnel. And nobody wants to be in one. And listen, I still love the term sales. I still love the term marketing, right? This is still sales and marketing, but this is the modern way of doing it. And so we have to retire this narrative of marketing funnels that are outdated, inconsistent, and by default not true, right? And I'm going to get to why. And we have to accept this updated version that the buyer is smart, that they're not dumb, that they understand if they're in a funnel or not. And the next caveat, or the last caveat on that, is you're not going to be able to force them to do anything, ever. So let's talk about why this is not a funnel. The reason why it's not a funnel is because imagine the top of your funnel is the widest net that you cast. The top is going to be the social or the SEO, right? So right here, that's social or SEO, getting people, bringing people in, right? They're here at the top and they're slowly moving down. That's true, right? So this is going to happen, right? Somebody's going to come from social and they're going to slowly move down the funnel, right? And will they eventually come out the other side? Maybe. Some will, right? The real life version of this is some people come in here, but then, hey, here's our YouTube channel. Some people come in here. Hey, here's our SEO on Google. Oh, hey, somebody referred you here. Oh, I listened to you on a podcast there, right? What's happening is this funnel analogy is now flawed because there's 20, 30 different ways for people to enter, and not everybody's entering through the same top of this funnel, right? So that's fundamentally why this is literally just isn't true anymore. Now, what's really happening is I wish I had a visual of an ecosystem, right? But what the ecosystem does is it implies that this is a system that works in conjunction together. And the worst thing that you can have is a successful marketing funnel and an unsuccessful business. Now, the thing is, wouldn't you say, whoa, wasn't that the same thing? It's not the same thing, right? What we did before is somebody would come in, or maybe a ClickFunnels person, or maybe an ads person would come in and go, I'm going to set up this funnel for you. And it goes like this. Then they go from the top to the middle to the bottom, and then they become a buyer. And you're the business owner on the other end going, okay. But we did this without taking into consideration how many leads we need to get. If our social media that we're currently running is even working. Do we even have an email list, right? This is a fundamentally flawed, outdated model because it doesn't take in consideration the rest of the goals of the business, nor does it take in consideration the actual buyer journey. And when I say buyer journey, I mean a journey. These people, if you're selling agency services, if you're selling services of any kind, financial advisor, CPA, etc., law, or even if you're selling product, even if you're selling SaaS, right? There's not a true buyer journey here. I didn't discover the CRM that I have. Then I just automatically bought the best tier, and then that was it, right? I tried this CRM, then I tried that CRM, then I saw an influencer post about this CRM, then I saw one that looked good. Well, it looks good, but I hope it actually functions how it looks. Okay, now let's try it. Now I'm on a trial. I've done 3 over the last 6 years. I've probably done 10 trials with CRMs, right? That's what real life is, right? That's what real life is in business, right? That is taking into consideration how people actually buy. So this doesn't only apply to B2B. It doesn't only apply to services. It applies to SaaS and also products too, where the buyer journey, it's not linear. It's really, truly a journey, right? It is literally a path that people take, and it's their own. Every customer has a different one. And I get it. Traditional marketing or CMOs or ads folks, like, we want to take somebody and we want to bring them down, and at the end we got them and they became a customer. I totally get that. I get that. I understand. I wish that's how it worked. I wish that people just did what we wanted them to do all the time, right? Wouldn't that be awesome? But the reality is, the buyer now, that's not what they want. They want to access the prices. They want to access you. They want to see, they expect you to have a YouTube channel now. They do. They literally, listen, 70% of B2B buyers prefer watching content before they make any sort of sales decision, right? And that's backed by data. This is just how it works. Now, if you're far enough in this podcast or video, you already agree with me in terms of the essence, right? Even if you may not agree about each individual piece, but you at least understand that, yes, I get it, Ryan, this stuff is changing, and maybe the old way of doing it isn't the only way. So first of all, I want to thank you for watching this YouTube video, or even watching a clip on LinkedIn or the other socials, because what you're doing here is you're starting to understand and really invest in yourself so you can understand this modern buyer journey, right? And if you want to make your life easier, if you want to make this easier, right? If you want to begin this journey on, okay, I agree with you, what do I do? Well, I suggest starting by producing videos like this, producing educational or thought-provoking content, whether that's tactical, philosophical, or psychological, right? And the best way to do that is to have a framework or a template or something that you can just follow step by step, instead of having to do it from scratch, having to Google, YouTube, or even ChatGPT, right? So what we did was make this very, very easy, okay? So in the description of this video, you're gonna get a link to something called Script Science, and it helps you create video content, right? No, it's not gonna magically change your buyer journey. No, it's not gonna magically get you 100 leads, but what it's gonna do, it's gonna get you to take action, because if you listen to this or watch this and don't take action, then why are you listening or watching anything, right? We're not here for information. We're here to change, because if we do things differently, we get different results. So that's it for today. Marketing is not a funnel. Grab Script Science down below, and I'll catch you